Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Arewa. The election is actually upon us, but for tomorrow. I mean, if I was speaking this way tomorrow, everybody would understand that it is the day after. But it's as close, as it's just close. And we'll be talking politics, especially governorship politics, all over the land. Well, in particular in Lagos here. Now, my guest this morning, Dr. Kayode Okpefa, he's a former Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation. Thank you very much, Kayode, as always, for coming on.
Yeah, good morning.
You've also been busy in the Federal Capital Territory. Well, you were also the secretary?
That was 2017.
Okay, so
2019.
former Secretary Transportation,
FCT.
long. FCT. You're very welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Kayode Okpefa. And we also have with us Alhaji Mohammed Mekano Lawal.
Good morning.
Good morning. Alhaji Mekano Lawal is Director General, Arewa Support Movement. And that is a pan-Nigeria movement,
Yes.
I imagine. It's
Yes.
not, because of your name, it's not a Kano-based organization.
No, it is not.
Even though you are Mekano.
Yes.
But it is not a
I
Kano-based
am a Lagosian.
You are actually a Lagosian.
Yes, I am a Lagosian.
Okay.
Kano means no Kano.
Yes. This is what we're talking about. When you say you're a Lagosian, it really adds to the whole cosmopolitan area of Lagos, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not that I speak Hausa myself, but a name like Mekano, people would assume that it has, origins in Kano, right?
Obviously.
Affiliations with Kano.
It does have.
And there you go.
Yeah.
But look, here we are. There are Igbos among us. There are, Northerners among us. And, of course, there are all sorts of Yorubas among us. Of course, there's also the what they like to refer to as Omo Ekogidi. I don't know if Dr. Okpefa is an Omo Ekogidi.
I'm an Awori.
That means original.
Original.
The real Lagosians.
The real.
I'm an Awori from Orile Agege.
There you go.
Idowola Roku. Omolediju.
I have looked for your trouble. Well, welcome, gentlemen. Yeah. Let me start with you, if I may, Dr. Okpefa. One thing we've been talking about is that, first of all, the incumbent, the incumbents in office, APC is the ruling party in Lagos. They naturally feel good. They have experience, and they are carrying a very big and very kind of a sacred trust. And so they are feeling that, I would imagine, that they are feeling that it's us. But you can say that in politics. There are other players on the field that are actually saying that we are going to be changing things around. So the question to you, Dr. Okpefa, is can we look at the results of the presidential election and then see where the strengths were, where the weaknesses are, and then extrapolate that onto the election on Saturday, that it's not going to be too far from there?
Okay. You see, I'm a student and a product of data. I studied in my undergraduate days biochemistry, and I deal with micronutrients. So I measure value in 0.0 milligram. So data is important and statistics is key. And over the years, I've gone into IT, I've gone into drugs formulation, and I'm now in transportation. I've also gone into management. Now, it's good to go in historical perspective. You can't use presidential election in most parts of Nigeria to judge local elections. And Lagos is a typical example, more so in metropolitan, cosmopolitan setting. Nigeria vote on 4 principal ways, issues, determines how you vote in a presidential election. When it comes to local elections, states or state assembly, local, is a different ballgame. For example, in national elections since 1950s, we have been voting nationally based on ethnicity, 1, followed by religion, 2. 3 is party affiliation. 4 now comes the other serious issues that are very, very important when it comes to local election. The candidates, circumstance, economy, and other national issues. In the case of Lagos, let me zero down. In 2011, then President Jonathan, the PDP won Lagos. And Governor Fashola was then the incumbent governor. And he went further in the 2 weeks after or so to win that election with about 1.5 million votes, where PDP got 300. Whereas in the presidential election, Jonathan got about 1.2 million, while Ribadu, who was ACN candidate, got 429,000 votes. It was just a flip. Now come to 2015. It was now Atiku for PDP and President Muhammadu Buhari coming fresh for APC. APC won that election with about 55 to 45 for for Jonathan. And at the end of the day, when he got to governorship, Ambode won with a bigger margin. Now, in 2019, APC won presidential in Lagos with the same margin, and Governor Solo won with over 500,000 vote difference, whereas the president won with 165. Now, when it comes to local election, historically, some other things will come to play. For example, in this election, you're having two deputy governorship candidates from Ikorodu, so you're going to see them pushing from their base. Then you're having, unlike in the presidential, in this case, where you have the religious push was there, the elites' disaffection with APC at the national level was there. Then the younger generation, the younger Nigerians were also angry about unemployment and others. Then this cash crunch thing and all the rest, which were put on the national party, or which Senator Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the candidate. And for the first time, you see an incumbent not making so much push from his own base. That is, we expected that, but because of the cosmopolitan nature of Lagos, those factors that determine national election came to play. And the Labour Party, which worked on ethnicity as a religious support, the Muslim ticket, then had the disaffection against the national government, saying that Asiwaju was the one who is actually can be described as the president as at that time. I mean, the architect of APC coming into national. So when it now comes to governorship in Lagos, you now see the governor is a Christian, PDP candidate is a Muslim, and Labour candidate is a Christian. So that religious aspect is going to be downplayed. Then you have the elites. The grudge of the elites is not about the state, it's about the national perception on the economy. The elites actually will want the status quo because they're having a good ride. Then you now have the younger generation. It's difficult to change younger people. We were all like that when we were young. We have a perception and we stick to it. And you know, don't blame them for that.
Is that being fixed though? Because you just pointed out something important there. You say the elite within the party, they might have had some issues.
Not within the party, the elite in the general space. You know, the economy.
The elite in the society economy, generally, in the Lagos society.
Cash policy, petrol queue, and
okay, all of that.
So, you know, these are enlightened people. And that's why you saw in some of the estates, the way they vote. And that's not going to be. In fact, it's going to be a reverse. Because the elites are people who are more interested in who is the candidate, what do you have on the table, and what are
as opposed to.
Now, let me also go a little bit historical before you go.
I'm going to come back because you spent. Okay.
Historical is that in Lagos.
Wrap it
historical. In 1979, we have Alhaji Lateef Kayode Jakonde. He got re-elected in 1983 because he did well. In Otedola came, there was no opportunity for that. For re-election. But since 1999, Asiwaju got re-elected because he did well. Fashola, Governor Fashola got re-elected in 2011 because he did well. Governor Ambode never had a chance of re-election because he never got the party's ticket. Now it is Sanwo-Olu's time. Historically in Lagos, they have always rewarded a performing governor with a second time. Okay. And this will not be so. I believe this will not be a difference.
Excellent, because it's one thing to state it. I remember back in secondary school, whether I think if there was a formula, or if you're going to banana, you must prove it. And I think you've just sort of proved
all
it.
Factors on ground.
You've just sort of proved it. Do you see it like that too, Alhaji Mekanolawa?
Well,
Or do you have, are there variances in your perception?
well, I'll be speaking more from the angle of the Arewa
Okay,
community in Lagos.
yeah.
The Arewa people in Lagos have, they've been allies with their host community, the Yorubas. We've had a very long relationship, a very long history. You can date this back to about 150 to like 200 years. You know, when I say Arewa, I mean the Hausas, the Fulanis, the Nupes, people of the northern extracts, really. You know, you can, like, there's some households in Lagos, like the Oshodi, you say Oshodi Takpa.
Yes.
Meaning that, they have some kind of origin from the Nupe land. We have Abari. Abari is linked to the Borno Emirates and all that. So, you see, for 150 years, about 200 years, if you look through the history of Lagos, the Hausas have always been allies with the Yoruba community in Lagos. If you go to Kosoko, the mosques of His Royal Highness, the Babado family, which can be dated back to 150 years, I think they would be doing something about that, in recent times, just to show history and what all this is about. Has been there for like 150 years, and these people have received presidents, Tafawa Balewa, all of them. They've had links to those places. So you see, there's always been that
handshake.
Yes,
Sort of,
handshake between the north and the south. And you see, for the Arewa community in Lagos, we've always been in tune with a government that listens to us, that understands our problem. And that has happened all through the time of Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu till date. And if you know, the houses always, or most of the time, vote in block. It's about decision making for us. If we decide that you are our candidate, nothing is going to change that. And the Arewa support movement, which I'm a DJ of, is an initiative of the elders, the Hausa elders and chieftains in Lagos. They've come together, deliberated, they've had discussions within groups and everything, and the candidacy of choice. Our president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and our governor, who we believe is still going to come back, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, we've decided that we're voting for him.
What's your analysis of what happened during the presidential election? Because a lot of people, they speak about it in terms of an upset, a shock, a surprise. What's your read?
I think it was a very fair election. It was a reflection of how people really, feel about their candidates at this time. I think there's something going on in the country. There's this need for change, and that is expressed through, like he rightly said, the statistics you see. We've seen places that the increment has not been able to come back, and nobody expected that. We've seen cases where some spots that would expect, this would be APC or this would be this, and we see Labour. So obviously, that spread tells you that it's a change. People are beginning to tell you that they want a change. You understand? And that's what I really think about what happened in this.
That's your read.
Yes.
That is to say, in spite, you've just spoken about the block vote, because I could ask the same question of him. Say, look, you're saying that the Hausa block vote, generally when we've made up our mind, we move. Well, that's probably the way a lot of people would have been thinking about the Southwesterners in the state, but it didn't work out like that quite. And after that happened, there's been a lot of movement, a lot of, reorganizing, re-strategizing. It remains to be seen on Saturday if all of that has worked. Because where was that block vote, during the presidential election, for example?
Well, if you look at the Hausa communities in Lagos, they voted for the...
for the APC.
Yes, they voted for the APC. If you look at Agege, such areas, you find that they voted for the APC. You see, like I rightly told you, like I started with, the Hausas, I don't want to use the word Hausas, the Arewa people.
Because it's more than just Hausas.
It's more than just the Hausas. The Arewa people have decided that these are their candidates. And it's very simple. You go with your interests, people that listen
Besides,
to you.
you say that there's been association. But
yes.
When you look at other ethnicities as well, when you come to the Igbos as well, we're looking at over a century too. It's not as if it was just yesterday.
Yes, I agree with you.
He's speaking for the Arewa.
Yes, I'm speaking for the Arewa. And you see, there's a spirit about Lagos.
Yes.
If you're Lagos, if you're a Lagosian, you are a Lagosian.
Let me crack a joke here. When President Muhammadu Buhari was running under CPC, I'm from Agege, and the family has a compound where you have a lot of Arewa people. They're living without paying rent for years. And when they're to
that's the Lagos spirit.
So they keep talking. When it was the day of the election, they said, I can't speak Hausa, but they told us that then Buhari was in ANPP. They say it's Masari. I didn't understand what they were saying. They're telling me it's the corn. Masara. And that for Senate, reps is your people. Then Broom. Then they told us when it comes to governorship, no negotiation. It's going to be APC. Just like you said.
Yes.
They choose their interest and they express it without fear, but they always vote when it comes to local election. They vote with the local
people. Yes.
People. That's what I said about the national election. The things that shapes the national election is a little bit different. And for Lagos, because of the cosmopolitan nature of Lagos, there are also a lot of individual decisions.
Yeah.
People can really make up their mind. And like I told you historically, you just can't miss it. That is the way Lagosians are going to reward a performing governor
yes,
with a second term. And it's going to be with a wide
margin.
It's not just, this is the way you are seeing it. Of course, that view will be partisan because you are not of PDP, you are not of Labour. You say it's going to be, there will be a healthy gap.
I'm giving you data.
I know.
Sometimes we
but your projection is
sometimes I'm not projecting based on my thinking. I'm projecting based on pattern. This last election, some of us already knew where those issues may come from, considering the APC presidential ticket and the other party. For example, in 2015-2019, presidential, Amu Wardofin, Ojo, Oshodi Solo, the Solo part of Oshodi Solo, have been tending PDP for some primordial reasons I mentioned before. Now, in 2019, it trended the same way. And in 2023, it wasn't different.
Yes.
What came different was Alimosho, Koshofe, and Shomolu. And I told you there are three main issues. One of the other main issues played, it reared its head. Now, when it comes to governorship, if the incumbent governor in Nigeria is not doing good, Nigerians know how to handle it. For example, but specifically in Lagos, we have been fortunate, all our governors, even during military, had always been selected for us to be the best among the pack. So, and because of the education level, cosmopolitan level, diversity level in Lagos, Lagos people have always been in position to determine how to choose the appropriate governor. Don't forget, this same election, Lagos APC won the 3 senatorial seats.
Yeah.
In the same election. By the same, something happened in that election. Go and check the number of accredited voters for the presidential. You know the number? 1271451. Does that ring bell? 1271. Does that ring bell? 451. 1271 was the number with which Ashwaji won this primary election. So it's historical, it's spiritual.
Just also. I want to thank you, Mr. Joshua, for holding on. I wanted Dr. Okwefa to land. Please go ahead now, Mr. Joshua in Irewole.
Uncle Yori, good morning, and good morning to your guests.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
I'm delighted that we are having these conversations in Nigeria right now. And I really want the president-elect to please listen to Nigerians. The real problem we had in the presidential election was the Muslim ticket. The pastors were weaponizing their members against the nation without knowing, like the youths were taking huge advantage of. I'm in the social media. There were certain political parties that if you don't support them, they will cost your life out. They'll say you will die. Like it was compulsory you vote for them. So that election was radicalized by religion. I'm also told that there were situations where pastors threatened their members that if you don't vote for my candidate, I will deny you Holy Communion. And you know our people are very religious. So people voted along religious lines substantially, and ethnicity also was a big problem. The president-elect needs to deal with these two issues. We need to take religion and ethnicity out of our public space. Like, you are in a general meeting in a community and somebody tells you must pray in a Christian way or in a Muslim way, and we will not sing the national anthem. Take these things, take religion away from our people before it will ruin us. That is the conversation we need to have going further. That is what the presidential election did. Okay. I'm sure the current governor in Lagos will win. But let us connect ourselves together to say that the restructuring we need for Nigeria is that Nigeria must come first before your religion, before your state, before your east, before your north, and anything else.
All right.
Let's put Nigeria first. That's the way for us
I hear you, Mr. Joshua.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Joshua. Let me, Alaji Mekanulawa, let me just ask you to comment on that. People continue to have this conversation about, since he brought it up, the Muslim listening ticket, Christian, Muslim, whatever. And the point has always been made about, look, guys, those things, important as they are not the most important. What is the most important is competency. Competency. That is that was what APC told us when they came up that, look, we're going against whatever the grain or convention might be. It's about looking for the best. Am I not going to penalize the best because he happens to be a Christian or a Muslim?
Or a Muslim.
Say, look, okay, you are actually the best, but because you're a Christian, sorry, I can't take you. Because you're a Muslim, I can't take you. But there are people who, as you just heard, think that it's very important. What would be your...
Yeah, somebody said, I think it was Lenin or whoever said, religion is the opium of the masses.
The opium of the masses.
Of the masses, yes. So, you see, like he rightly said, it's most of this, some of these things are sentimental. But truly and honestly, that's why I am very happy about the candidacy and the victory of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There's a spirit about Lagos. We're not, we don't come with all that religion. Oh, he's Muslim. And we relate very well. We live within each other. You're a Christian. When it's Christmas, we all celebrate it. When it is Salah, we all celebrate. All the houses that have settled in Lagos also have that spirit. So I see a precedent that would help to manage that area that has become very delicate in the history of this country. I would say we're taking Lagos to the federal level. We're bringing that spirit to everyone, really.
Okay, let me bring on Reverend Dominic. Reverend Dominic in Limosho, I know that you have an opinion on what was said from Arewa lady.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in, Reverend.
Yori, I want to stay here to balance your panel this morning. I saw everyone, your left hand or right hand, and one of the best men I've admired in Lagos, I've not met him one-on-one, is the former Transport Commissioner of Lagos.
Okay.
Dr. Kweka, I want to see you one day, shake your hand, and I'll tell you the reason I will do that. And I don't know what they're saying about age. You know, we are facing ourselves for we 50. Whether you can have opportunity to contest governorship in Lagos, I will vote for you. But we are, our age is some more, attractive. Let me say this, Yori. I've said this several times. This election, to me, people throw me stone saying this, have been won and lost. Presidentially, we should move on. Every time Joshua talk about pastor who say he won't give communion, it hurts me. That's my immediate constituency. And you know my stand about Nigerian politics, Lagos politics. It's more than that. Let me give you a short story in 1 second.
Okay.
So in 2013, I wanted my pastor to go and baptize people in our church. We don't have swimming pool. We went to hotels in Azumosho here, I will mention, to have a swimming pool of a pastor hotel. It's a Christian brother. He gave us a bill. We couldn't pay it. My pastor went somewhere, and that man is alive today. A Muslim Yoruba hotel man. The man said, come and do baptism in this hotel. The man is still alive today. A Muslim Yoruba in Lagos here in Azumosho. He said, sir, you will not come today because I made this swimming pool. I'm going to clean for you, so tomorrow you come and do your baptism. When my pastor came and told me that story, I knew there's no tribalism in Nigeria. It is politics that destroy us. This is a Muslim hotel man, he's swimming pool, this is a Yoruba man, a Igbo man. Now what I'm trying to say is this. There's no tribalism in Nigeria or Lagos politics. It is politicians. The young man that contesting in Labour, I may not even pronounce his name well. When they begin to say the mother is from Igbo, doesn't make any sense in the 20th century. Every one of us in Lagos here has left one way or the other. I let my presidential candidate married a Ishekiri woman. And then my father to hear it. So what I'm trying to say, we are one in the same world. There's no tribalism. Let me say this again for caution. You know what my motion is? I'm going to vote on Saturday. Do you know why? Before, I don't vote on governorship in Lagos. I take it for free that APC will win. They have good governance. But, sir, former Commissioner of Transport, we should take it for granted. There's a protest vote against APC in Lagos. There's a protest vote against the governor of Lagos. Entrance, Okadabai, toll gate. There's a protest vote. We should take for. And this election have broken every record. Every record. The young ones are angry. I'm going to vote on Saturday. I'm going to tell you who I vote for this protest vote. I'm going to put my finger somewhere. Everybody that loves Lagos should do that and not take things for granted. Because these young boys and young girls are angry.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Reverend Dominic, for calling in.